What's going on, free and independent thinkers? I am presently in an undisclosed location, a bunker, if you will, far away from civilization, definitely not anywhere near the beach with my family right now, diligently preparing season 2 of Indie Thinker. That's why, as you may have noticed, we've taken a brief interruption during the holidays in our regular schedule of Monday and Wednesday release of episodes in order to take some time to prep for what the future will hold. Before we get there, I want to take just a brief moment to share with you some things that happened over the past year, because we've had some really great milestones in year 1 of Indie Thinker. If you've been following from the very beginning, you've seen the way that we've experienced some explosive growth, especially just recently. So before we go to the future, which I'll do pretty soon in a video before the new year, hopefully, and look to what's ahead, because we've got some really great changes that we are going to be introducing in the new year. Before we do that, I wanted to take just a moment really briefly to look back. So the first thing is this, is looking back, some of the most recent episodes that we've done just recently that have really gained some attention and garnered some attention. So the first one is the James McDonald episode and what took place at Harvest Bible Chapel, what was one of the biggest churches in the United States. So that episode is really interesting, not only because it garnered so many views and so many of you were so interested about what took place there, but also because of some of the reactions I received from that video. So the reactions range from really ridiculous.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
I mean, to the point of like, grab your stones, Pharisees, to the point of some people who really had some positive things to say. So the one thing I would say about that is that there's some people who went into that story thinking they knew what took place at Harvest. And this episode really helped some of those people who thought they knew what took place hear a different perspective. And then for many of you, and I had some people come up to me personally, and this was probably the most important thing I guess I could say about the episode. Some of you went up to me personally and told me, and I had multiple people do this, that you were a member of James McDonald's church, or at least maybe a member of one of the Harvest Bible Chapel churches or around the nation. And you told me that when everything that happened with James McDonald happened, it left you very confused and a little bit disappointed, and you were happy to hear, even if you didn't agree. And this is the main thing. And then this is the thing that I would drive across. Even if you didn't agree with some of the things that were discussed, or even the way the interview took place, you were thankful for the opportunity to hear James's side of things, so that you can then go home and rush to the comment section and give your opinion. No, so that you could go home and you could think about kind of what your thoughts of what took place at Harvest Bible Chapel were in light of hearing from James, since so often people paint a narrative before the person who actually knows the most about the narrative can come in and fill in the missing pieces. So for a lot of you, that was very helpful, and it was really important for me to hear from some of you personally, directly, outside of electronic communication, about what that episode meant to you. So I'm really thankful about that. And then right before Thanksgiving, I was able to bring on Tim Barton, and he discussed the first Thanksgiving with us. I really loved that episode. I'd encourage you to go back and check that out if you didn't see that. But suffice to say, really fair-minded look at history, which I think we're getting less and less of these days, where he was very honest about some of the atrocious things that happened in the early settlement of colonies, but also unapologetically discussing some of the things that we don't often hear about, the Christian foundings of our nation, and the way other pilgrims were able to commune and work together with and unite with indigenous peoples. And then just recently, Mark Newman came on, who is a rhetorical critic, and we talked about Christmas films. Really fun episode, really happy to do that, and really thankful to be able to bring you guys some content that has something to do with holidays that we're celebrating, just to add a little bit more meaning, a little bit more thoughtfulness, hopefully, to those celebrations. Now, there's so much more that I could say, but those are things that just happened recently, and many of those episodes, primarily the former two, really did well, and you guys really responded greatly to those episodes. All right, so I wanted to do this really quick too, because this is something that I'm really, really proud about. So we started basically from scratch with nothing, and then over the last year, I want to give you kind of an idea of what's taken place. So here's some numbers. Our first 28 days, we had 111 average downloads. So that's our first 28 days. From there, we now presently have an average download rate per 7 days of 2,417. So that means starting from the beginning to right now, average download per week is 2,417. So that's how many people are listening and or watching our podcast. And then here's some other numbers. Our average download for 28 days, so basically within a month right now, is 38,000. So the prior one is how many we're getting a week, and that's averaged over the life of our podcast. This one is just in the last 28 days. So as you can see, the numbers have really spiked. So in the last 28 days, we've had 38,000 downloads. Now in the last 90 days, we've had 43,435 downloads. And then for the lifetime of the show, altogether downloads on YouTube channel and also on our various other audio podcasting platforms, we've had 60,424 downloads of all time. Now, the only reason I give you this humble brag is just simply this, to let you know how amazing we are.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
But in all sincerity, I really just do it to just say this, is that we started just with a dream. We put it all out on the table. We started not knowing what would happen from one second to the next. And we pushed hard here. I worked really hard to try to create really good content for you guys, and it is starting to pay off. In this first year, I've been really, really impressed by the growth. And we started with basically 0 subscribers, and we've gotten up to 440 subscribers now just on our YouTube channel alone, and then various other podcasting platforms. There's so many of those, I'm not really sure how many we have there. But as we continue to grow, we'll continue to bring great content for you guys. That more important than these numbers even show is what I hope we're doing is we're bringing you content that helps you think. We're bringing you content that you won't hear from legacy media. We're bringing you content that really helps you go beyond what you're getting on an average daily basis to help you think about things from a different perspective. One of the things that I'm most proud about is that we have people watching our program that are not Christians, that don't come from a faith perspective. Very often I give my faith perspective on things, and I've heard back from you guys that you really appreciate the way in which I'm doing that. I'm not doing it to proselytize, I'm doing it because I think it's important. And so many of you guys are realizing as the culture gets more and more woke, hopefully you're realizing that perhaps some of that has to do with our sidestepping away from Christianity specifically and away from religion and away from God. And now there's a pagan cult of wokeism that's taking the place of God in so many hearts of people who have walked away from Christianity. All right, the other thing is that we're looking ahead to an amazing year moving forward with great new guests. I'm going to save a lot of that for a future episode that I'll do before we jump into season 2 of Indie Thinker, and just give you guys a little snapshot of some of the people who have already committed to come on, and some of those voices that I think you guys will just be really, really happy to hear from. So until then, what I'll just say is this, is thank you for watching in 2021, and thank you for your support. Thank you for the kind reviews that you've given on Apple. Continue to do that. We need more and more and more of those to come in. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting on YouTube. Thank you for interacting with other people who are commenting on YouTube. I think all of that is so vitally important so that we can continue to have robust and healthy dialogue. Now understand, there are many people who show up in the comment section who aren't interested in that at all. They're interested in showing that they've gone to one community college class and maybe read a Wikipedia article. But the vast majority of people who show up in the comment section, and the vast majority of people who are watching our stuff, are really, really interested in perspectives and engaging those perspectives thoughtfully with logic and reason. And I'm happy to say that we're building a really, really thoughtful and useful channel here at Indie Thinker. So I hope it's been informative to you. Well, we'll be back to our regular programming back in early January of 2022. Until then, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and even check out past episodes on the channel. Hope you have a great New Year's celebration. Thanks for watching. You can catch brand new episodes of Indie Thinker with Reed Huberman every Monday, and weekly bonus episodes to keep you thinking throughout the week. But you have to subscribe and click the bell to be notified when new episodes drop. If you enjoy this content, make sure to like this video and share it with friends.